Hey everybody, welcome back to our vegan kitchen. We're going to do something fun today.
Yay!
I've had two starters of sourdough, two sourdough starters in my career as a person. I feel like, Mommy, Daddy, please, can I get a sourdough? I promise I'll take care of it. Well, I've had two of them, and they died a horrible death. Just like your teeth, as my mother says, they don't ever die a natural death. They die from neglect. Heavy. All right, so you don't have to go out and spend money on like Amazon or like the health food store to get a sourdough starter. You can make your own. We've got bacteria everywhere in the air, and that's what makes this work. Basically, what it is flour and water that's spoiled. The bacteria go in there.
It sounds disgusting.
It is, but you know what? You need that bacteria. You need that bacteria in your stomach, because that's what helps you digest your food properly. There is such a big renaissance right now about gut health, and it's so important because your gut is not only what you should trust, but your gut is what keeps your immune system up and keeps you from getting sick. And I've heard a lot of people who need to be gluten-free, but that's my dog. He was just running around the yard.
No.
He's having a rough time.
Oh, baby.
They need to be gluten-free, but in a pinch, they can tolerate sourdough bread because of the bacteria that's in there that helps them digest it. And I feel like I'm one of those people. So this is going to take a while. This doesn't happen overnight. Well, I mean later in the week when we get, past this. This is probably going to end up taking like a week to a week and a half to possibly 2 weeks, depending on the weather, because you need to keep this warm so that the bacteria can grow. But it all starts out with the journey of a single cup of whole wheat flour and half a cup of water. So I'm going to put my water in here first, because then I could see, I can, measure it. It doesn't have to be exact. That's like a half a cup of water. And then they recommend that you start it with whole wheat flour. However, you can use unbleached flour if you don't have the whole wheat flour. It's just going to take longer. It's much easier with the 100% whole wheat flour, because there's like less processed stuff in there. So I have my quarter scoop here so that I don't have to struggle with getting it in the container. You're going to need a pretty big container too, because this is going to we're going to feed it every day for the rest of our lives. Just like children.
Weird.
Until they leave. So we got our water in there. We got our flour in there. You're going to want to mix this until there's no unmixed flour. And it's that simple. Once you get this mixed, you're going to want to put it somewhere warm, like on top of the refrigerator, or not too warm. You don't want to put this on a radiator or anything like that, or a radiator. You want to put it where it's going to be around 70-ish degrees. So here's my lump of flour. I'm not going to cover it with the cover. I'm going to use a coffee filter so that the air can still get in, but like bugs and rodents and pizza rat and whoever cannot get in there. So I'm just going to put a rubber band to further deter them from getting in there. And I'm going to plop this on top of my fridge up here. And we're going to say, hey, what's going on tomorrow? All right, it's day 2 of sourdough starter. Ooh. And you can see not much happening here. And that's totally normal. That's totally okay. So what we're going to do is open it up and feed it. But first, we're going to discard half of it. And the reason for this is because you can really feed less of the starter. You know what I mean? Like there's less of it to feed, so a lot of the food will go to the least amount of starter. So you want to get rid of half of it. And you don't have to throw that out. You could throw that into like pancakes or, you know, any other type of recipe that you would use flour for. Because it's good. It's not bad. So that's our half. Now we're going to put in regular unbleached white flour. I told you yesterday the reason why we started with this is because it's less processed, so there's more of a chance that it's gonna take because of the bacteria situation. So this one is more processed, so a lot of the bacteria is not there. It's gonna take longer if you start it with white flour. So we're gonna do a cup.
Feed me.
Yeah. Feed me, Seymour. 3 and 4. It doesn't have to be exact. So we're doing half a cup of water. And again, we're going to give it a good stir until it's all dissolved, that there's no, no undissolved flour. You don't have to keep it in the same jar. You could have transferred it if you wanted to, but I think I'm probably going to keep it in this jar for at least another day maybe. But mix it up, and then we're going to stick the coffee filter back on the top. We're going to put it back on top of the fridge, and we're going to visit it tomorrow and see what's happening. All right, it's day 3, and whoa, look at that.
Whoa.
I hope you guys can see the air bubbles in there. This thing has pretty much doubled in size because it's alive! There's sourdough in here. So, we're going to do the same thing that we did yesterday. We're going to first stir it up. You can see that it's bubbly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look at that.
Wow, looks doughy.
You could smell that it tastes, you could smell that it smells sour, but like not gross. Like, you know, in a good way. Like when you smell a kombucha, it smells like it's alive, but not disgusting alive. So we're just going to mix this up. We're going to dump half. Again, the part that you dump, you could throw into a bread mix, or you could throw into pancakes or stuff like that. You don't have to actually throw it out. So I'm going to make some seitan today, and I'm actually going to put the part that I'm getting rid of out of the jar into the seitan. Give it a little tangy flavor. Alright, so actually they recommend that you use a scale and weigh out and keep like 4 ounces, which would be just about over a cup. I think I probably took a little bit too much out of there. I'm going to put some back in. Ooh, it's so creepy.
Is this a slime tutorial?
So we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to put in our 1 cup of unbleached white flour, and we're going to also put in half a cup of water. Mix it up, and it goes back on top of the fridge. Alright guys, it's day 4 I think, and if it was the summertime and we were doing this, today's the day that I would start doing 2 times a day feeding, 12 hours apart. But it's been cold. It's just gotten cold all of a sudden.
It's really cold today.
And this, it's not as puffed up as I'd like it to be on day 4 I mean. So I'm going to do 1 more single feeding today, and then tomorrow I'm going to go to double feedings. So I'm going to clean this jar out because it's looking kind of creepy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stir it up, and I'm only going to keep half of it, and I'm going to do it in this glass, and then tomorrow I'm going to put it back in the jar. So you only want to keep like just a little bit more than half a cup. And by the way, yesterday's I put my discard sourdough into some seitan, and it turned out really good. I had it for breakfast. I made a turkey seitan roll, and instead of the chickpea flour, I put in the starter.
Would you say yes today, Satan?
Yes, and possibly tomorrow as well.
Wow.
So we're just going to feed it like we have been feeding it. We're going to do 1 cup of flour again to half a cup of water. Give it a stir. Put this back on top and let it sit until tomorrow morning.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? All right, guys, we're back. I believe this is day 6. I think we left off at day 3 where we were still feeding the sourdough starter once a day. So day 4, day 5, day 6, twice a day, 12 hours apart. I got up early this morning, well, earlier, and fed it at about 8-ish o'clock. Maybe it was 9. So now it's time to do the second feeding for today, which should pretty much complete the sourdough cycle. So tomorrow we'll be able to use this to make bread.
Ooh.
I know. So this video is only going to encompass the sourdough starter. Making sourdough bread with the sourdough starter is going to be a whole different video. It's pretty complicated. It's different than yeast raised bread. It's better for you, but it's also a little bit more involved, and I don't want to put it all in one video. So this is just for the starter.
But
so,
the bread making will be coming up soon.
Yes, I was experimenting already, and this was made with some of the cast-off sourdough starter. So this has no yeast in it whatsoever. The dough was too wet. I'm at the beginning of my sourdough journey, so it's going to take a lot of patience and fine-tuning to get where I need to be so I can have beautiful artisan loaves of sourdough bread. But that was my first attempt, and honestly,
It's pretty good.
it's not that bad. So we're going to do this just like we usually do. You can see this has really risen quite a bit. It was here this morning when I fed it, and it has risen all this in about 12 hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer it to another jar. I feel like this is the easiest way to do this. You have 2 jars. So I'm going to put the new food for it in. Well, actually, let me just pour this in here now. I like to use a chopstick. It's the easiest thing to clean off. Really. All right, so we're going to save just about half a cup of starter. And the rest of it I could use to make bread or pancakes or waffles. So I feel like you don't have to exactly measure this. I think that looks pretty good.
Ooh.
I mean, you could kind of see on the jar. That's just a little bit over half a cup. So we're going to put 1 cup of flour in.
You really like using that small scoop.
I do. You know why? Because this one would make a big mess. Yeah. See my point? All right, now we put in our half a cup of water. And give it a good mix. Make sure you mix up all of the flour. You don't want any dry flour in there. You want it to all be wet. That's quite dry. I think it needs just a little bit more water. Alright, so the lid is ready to go back on. And we're not going to put it in the fridge yet. Although at this point we could. But when you're baking, the thing is, the day before you feed it, like if it's, say it's in your fridge and you're keeping it in there, the day before you leave it out, feed it the night before. The next day you can bake with it. You can maintain it in the fridge and not have to feed it every day. You should probably, especially in the beginning, feed it at least twice a week. Maybe later on down the road when it really gets established, you only have to feed it like once a week. But for now, I'm going to feed this at least twice a week. And I think I'm going to attempt to bake something with this tomorrow. So there you have it. There is sourdough starter from just flour and water. The sourdough grew from either the bacteria in the air or from the flour. And that's why sourdough all over the country taste different because it depends on what's in the air and the flour where you live. So there you have it. I hope this was helpful. I hope it wasn't too confusing. Be patient with it. If it smells like alcohol, or if you see mold on it, it's pretty safe to say you should probably throw it out and try and start over, because it's not worth getting sick over. Because, I mean, it is bacteria. So I hope you have success. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. So good luck with your sourdough. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you stopping by our channel. Subscribe for more, and until next time, much love.